she or he.
Yeah.
The pronoun that you use is usually for man.
Yeah, because of the tradition of the hermeneutical also context.
कोई आ रहा है, कोई इसका अभी, वो अभी, that's still masculine.
Well, request to say a few words for Mr. Bhattiji, because DD News people are waiting for your interview, because your schedule is very tight.
Yeah.
So they want to take your interview by for the TV.
Okay, but
Yeah.
there are some minutes for students to ask
Yeah, I
questions.
think
They can wait a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Let them wait.
Any other question from this side?
about
Any other question?
and you had question about this. You have is there no better word to you see breath?
Yeah.
You have compared with the theory of breath or the concept of breath with this German philosophy, and also you have also quoted this Greek, and also this Latin word spiritus,
Yeah.
spiritus, which means breath originally, but it means also Lebenshauch or life breath. Life breath means prana, to infuse life into someone as God did it in the first mortal, first human being. So, okay, it means life, but perhaps you should have dilated a little more on the concept of prana, because prana is not exactly the breath.
Yeah.
Prana is the life force. Prana is, it is not shwasa, it is not sans, it is not breath. So you can't translate the word prana as breath. Prana is something, if prana goes out, if you know the Chandogya Upanishad, prana goes away, there is a quarrel between Indriyas and the pranas, and everyone says that I am the greatest, I am the greatest. Then I goes out, Indriya, Chakshu goes out, then prana returns.
Yeah.
How did you live? Say just like a blind man, and then all Indriyas go out. But when prana go out, all Indriyas they start screaming and crying, oh please don't go out. Otherwise you won't be able to work. So all they are functioning, all Indriyas are functioning because the Shakti of prana. So pranin, even the animals which do not breathe, they are also prani. A snail is a prani, a fish is a prani. Fish is not breathing, he is breathing through water, but even those animals or insects which are not inhaling or exhaling, they are also prani. So prana is something, is life force, and before the development of the concept of Atman, you find the prana
No,
is...
of course, I elaborate on this
It was
largely.
the prana, was the prana, of course, which they found, which they thought is the source of all. And it has all this, not only microcosmic, but also macrocosmic dimensions.
Maybe, maybe I should just have another to add breath and then add life force, because if you go with me to the very beginning, to this constellation of Schelling or Vedic hymns, you see that I was using this as a first life, as the beginning of life, the first impulse that is, and it is pervading the whole universe. So basically, it is not such a mistake, but maybe I could just explain in a addition to breath that it is life breath, or that is something like life force. But I don't like words that are so vague for European philosophy sometimes. Life force could be disturbing for many philosophers because they think that I'm talking about some, I don't know, New Age or something. I have to explain a lot about this.
But
Thanks for this.
In Indian philosophy, you see, the samadhi is not possible without pranayama.
Yeah.
Pranayama means that we have to control, first of all, your the pranas, the life activities, and then everything. Avishti sangram amivam vivaham apamivadaravya pravid antascharanam marutam nirodhat nirvat nishkamp vivav pradipam. This is Shiva. Antascharanam marutam prananam marutam nirodhat. Or mrtsakatik paryanka granthi bandhat vigunut bhujagashi samhite jano anta pranavarodha viparata sakala jnana ruddendriyasya. Then samadhi is not positive. Atman nyatmanameva vyapagata karanam.
But sir,
When you see Atman in Atman.
But this
Prana resides in our heart.
Yeah.
It resides in our heart also, and it is like Virat. We can see it through Virat. So it is also a genealogy that links prana to the hidden cavity, the hidden cavity within our heart. So I would understand prana is
beginning and end. Only prana is there.
Yeah.
Breathing is there.
Yeah.
Breathing is not there. Nothing is there.
So but I understand your
Yeah.
That is and prana anit avatam swadhyata dekam, you quoted it very nicely. Avatam. This is something force which does not need vayu at all.
Yeah.
Though of course it's connected with vayu, because vayu is imparts force, and vayu is connected with Bal, and Hanuman is the son of vayu. That's why he is so strong. And so vayu is connected with prana, and without vayu, but it's only external, material, imperialistic. Otherwise, prana is much more sukshma, much more subtle. And you see, the beauty of Indian philosophy is that you talked about empiricism, etc. That here everything emerges out of spirit. The spirit does not come later out of matter.
Yeah.
It is the consciousness, the subtle-most thing, which gives rise to, in its emanation, further development, etc. It becomes life force, other body, etc.
Yes, but from European point of view, there is certain materialistic intervention needed also for Indian philosophy, because if Indian philosophy wants to be modern in this sense, then you have to go through. Also, we have to go through India, you have to go to Europe to see that in the 21st century, spirituality, consciousness have to be, set in an epistemological, ontological context. Although I understand your
This
intervention.
love, is it a very Christian concept when you say this? Love
It is probably the most Christian
love.
thing in Schelling.
It's not kama. It's not kama
No,
sadagre
But
samavartatari.
it is more kama than agape. It is more
Kama
eros.
is later love, yeah, but
It is more eros than agape. You know,
Yeah.
kama is both. Kama is both eros and agape. It's both caritas and
will also.
erotic and will.
Will kama.
But kama covers
kama
covers many things. But love in Schelling covers more in this sense. Maybe even covers both eros and caritas. So because eros has to be transformed into caritas. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it was a very nice lecture, and I am all reminded of my student days when I first met you. Did not mention Heidegger. I was thinking that, oh, here comes now Heidegger, because this was the person whom I met, because I studied in the same university in which Heidegger was teaching, but he was not teaching at that time. He was only professor emeritus. I am talking of 1963. He came once. I remember him very, very faintly. He came once. He gave only one lecture, and the whole auditorium, maximum, the auditorium was full, and somebody fainted even, etc., etc., and people were sitting on the steps. And when he finished, I asked my Guruji, I was just a student. I said, did you understand anything? And he had a great humor, of course. He said, yes. I understood the first sentence. I said, what was that? He said, Meine Damen und Herren, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't understand anything. Hölderlin, I love Hölderlin, Hyperion, etc. And I have been in Tübingen twice for 1 year each, and have visited this so-called Hölderlin Turm in which he was living for about 40 years or 45 years.
Very close to
Very close to the river of Neckar. It overlooks Neckar river with a lot of trees,
Tübingen has the
willow
largest
trees, whooping willows. So, Hölderlin Hölderlin he must have read some of the Indian literature.
Yeah, he knew a lot intuitively also. Intuitively, he wrote about that
He's a
we have to go
romantic
to the Indus River to find our fathers and forefathers, and in his Andenken and other hymns, he talks mysteriously about things that okay, I have elaborated on this in my book, but there was no time.
Thank you.
They are waiting for me.
Thank you.
But I'm happy to discuss.